Investors say the car crash that sent Tiger Woods to the hospital was purely an accident. They won't press charges against the golf legend, who's recovering from serious injuries. Police say Tiger was driving on a dangerous stretch of road when his SUV crossed the median, struck a curb and careened out of control. Doctors performed extensive surgery on his leg and ankle, inserting a rod and pins. Los Angeles County Sheriff says it's nothing short of a miracle, quote, that Woods is alive. The big question now is how his injury will impact his future and that of the world of golf. There's no question that he revolutionized the game and, of course, boosted viewership. Just take a look at this graph showing how TV ratings for PGA tournaments surged whenever he was winning. And the trend is clear. Viewership surges on the years that Tiger won. For the latest, let's bring in World Sports' Don Riddell. He's interviewed Tiger Woods several times. Don, great to have you with us. Tiger's had, I think, so many phases in his life as he's come back from both personal and physical challenges. What do you make of this latest event and who he is as a person fighting back from this?
Well, the event is awful, and I think the more we hear about it, the worse it seems to get in terms of how bad it could have been. I mean, I think the more I hear about the accident and the more I learn about it and speak to people who've been there and visited the crash site, you realize just how incredibly lucky he is. One of his rivals on the tour, Rory McIlroy, has today been saying he's not Superman, he's just a human being, and we're very lucky to still have him. And his kids are very lucky that they didn't lose their dad yesterday. This is just an absolutely seismic event in the world of not just golf, but of sports. Tiger Woods completely revolutionized the game of golf when he burst onto the scene in the late 1990s. He transcended the game. He's one of the most famous athletes that you'll find anywhere on the planet. And the world of golf owes so much to Tiger Woods. You know, people are perhaps wondering today what's golf going to be like if Tiger doesn't play anymore or if he doesn't return to the tour. I think people need to just take a moment and think about what he has given to the game. So many of the young players now took up golf because of Tiger Woods, because they were inspired by him. So many of those players are now millionaires many times over because of what Tiger Woods did to the game in terms of just bringing such a massive new audience to the game. And there's something about Tiger in his later years that whether he's winning or losing, there's always interest around him. People who've, you know, been around him on the tour, players, caddies, executives, they said they've never seen anything like it. It is one thing for people to be interested and to root for somebody who's successful. But when that person is then not successful or when he has bad rounds of golf, to somehow still be as exciting and as interesting, very, very unusual. So, you know, he's a once in a generation, if not once, you know, in a lifetime kind of athlete.
I mean, we don't want to think about it now. We just want to think about his recovery and wish him all the well. But to your point about how pivotal, how inspirational he's been to those that have risen up in the industry, but also to the viewers. I mean, we showed that chart of just what happens, the magic that happens in terms of TV viewership when he's willing, he's compelling, whether you love him or you're sort of conflicted about what he's done in his past and who he is. He's a compelling person to have on a golf course.
Yeah, and you know, it's not just the winning; it's the way he plays. It's his attitude. It's the showmanship. It's the theatre that he brings to it. I mean, some of his biggest moments. I mean, I think about the Masters tournament where he had that extraordinary shot on the 16th green, and he chipped it in from a ridiculous position, and it rolled, and then it just paused on the lip of the cup just long enough so you could see the Nike swish, and then it dropped. I mean, that is what a Hollywood director would do, and here it was happening live in real time. Just such an energizing athlete. And, you know, if you speak to the golfers today, many of them have been interviewed in press conferences today, and they're all saying, you know, this is not about, you know, can Tiger Woods come back and play? When will he be able to get back? This is about just kind of wishing, you know, this man just all the best in a speedy recovery. It's still so early. I mean, we're not even a day and a half since this happened, and I think we still have an awful lot to learn about the injury and his recovery and what that might look like. We must remember his age, 45. We must remember all of the injuries that he's suffered throughout his career and all of the major surgeries he's already undergone throughout his career, on his knee, on his back, 5 back surgeries, the most recent of which was just a couple of days before Christmas. All of that is a factor in what he is going to be able to achieve after this point. If you're going to write anybody off, it wouldn't be Tiger Woods. He's the king of the comeback. We look at what he achieved at the Masters in 2019, winning a 5th green jacket, 11 years after his previous major victory. And of course, we all know what happened in between with the injuries and of course with, the collapse of his marriage, which was very well documented by media outlets all over the world. But, what's golf going to look like without Tiger? It's just too soon to know.
Yeah, and we don't want to ask that question either. We just send him and his family and all those around him huge love and support and healing thoughts. Don, great to have you with us. Thank you for that.
Authorities in Los Angeles County will conduct a safety review on the stretch of road where Tiger Woods crashed his car. Police report 13 accidents there in the past 13 months. The sheriff says they will look into whether Woods was on his phone when he crashed.
At the scene, he made no comments regarding that. He wasn't questioned. At the hospital, he was asked about that by the investigators, and he had no recollection of the crash itself.
The sheriff also says they don't plan to pursue any criminal charges against Woods. CNN's Kyung La has more on the crash and Woods' recovery.
The investigation into Tiger Woods' crash will look at speed, how quickly the SUV was traveling down this road when the golfer lost control.
We're hoping, obviously, this is going to be equipped with this black box and we'll have some information about the speed. It may be a factor in this accident.
This winding downhill road is known as a local trouble spot. Deputies did not find skid marks or indications of brakes used or any evidence of impairment. Deputies say the engineering of the SUV, airbags, and the seatbelt likely saved Woods' life.
We have a rollover with someone trapped.
Responding officers found Woods trapped in the wreckage of the high-speed single-car rollover. The hospital says his legs were broken in multiple places. Surgeons inserted a rod to stabilize fractures exposed to open air. Bones, especially in his right foot and ankle, needed screws and pins. Surgeons also worked to relieve muscle swelling and pressure.
The surgeons likely believed that if they did not perform one of those procedures to release that pressure, they actually were worried that he could lose the limb, that amputation might have been necessary.
Woods' family says he is awake, responsive, and recovering in the hospital. Emotion continues to pour in from the sports world.
We love him. And, it's anytime someone that you care deeply about is hurt, it hurts. And it's not me, it's everybody out here.
To those marking the barrier-breaking figure in a sport largely dominated by white athletes.
There were some people who were able to look at Tiger Woods and understand Black excellence in this arena in a way that they hadn't understood it before.
I had come to a realization that I would never play competitive golf again.
Woods has faced potentially career-ending injuries before. This video, featuring Woods from a healthcare company, explains his comeback after one of his 5 back surgeries. A reminder of why, even after this devastating accident, Tiger Woods cannot be counted out yet.
I went from accepting it and having a peace of mind that I would never ever do this again to all of a sudden monkeying around with my kids with the green coat, just hanging around the living room. It's wild.
Kyung La, CNN, Los Angeles.
And the tributes and well-wishes for Tiger Woods are pouring in from all around the world. Take a look at this giant sand art sculpture on display in St Andrews, Scotland. Robert Ogle III made this on Wednesday at the city's famous golf course. He says he's been a huge fan of Woods for years and wanted to pay tribute to the golf legend. Ogle created the artwork using 2 rakes, then launched his drone to capture the aerial view.